more natural. Or just super. I don't know how to say it.
What dark horrors are in store for us in season 14?
What dark? It's, you know what? None. We've decided to go full sitcom this year. It's basically All in the Family with Bobby and the guys. No, I think, we're set up in a way that is, I think gives us a lot of energy going into the season because, Dean has been really if not the most, I would argue probably the most stable character throughout certainly the past few seasons at the very least. And him being gone, him being changed, creates a lot of problems for everybody. Problems not only in terms of, what do we do without Dean, but problems in terms of like, suddenly sometimes when people, you don't realize how much you rely on someone until they're gone, basically. And now Dean is gone. And I think all of our characters are going through kind of what does that mean for them, and then Dean himself is kind of in a position he's never really been in before. He's trapped, he's being drug along in a way that, and kind of witnessing things and being, even if he is not doing these things, even if he's not the person like reaching out and killing people, it's still his hands, he still feels like he's still in a sense what's going on. And so, that changes him as well.
How long, I'm sure you can't tell us, but how long before that sort of gets resolved or maybe comes to a head?
I don't know that it gets fully resolved for a long time. I think, the thing about Dean as Michael is the question they're asking, because there's going to be a little bit of a 3-week time jump between the end of last season and the beginning of this season. So even when Dean comes back, there's going to be a question of what did Michael do? And that may lead us into some flashbacks and things like that where Dean will play Michael for certainly more episodes than any of our characters have played another character on the show.
Are we ever going to see moments where Dean's personality, Dean's soul, comes into conflict with the Michael personality, whether it be on an astral plane type thing or him coming out and having just that second of be like, no, Michael?
Look, Dean's fighting for that, and he spends a lot of time fighting for that. Fighting against Michael's a hard thing, and I'm not sure that's a fight he wins.
Can you tease any new characters or returning characters or monsters that we're going to see this season?
Sure. I mean, I think, we're living in a world where, Bobby's come back for us, obviously. Mary's come back for us. Charlie's come back for us. Although, again, the Bobby and the Charlie we're seeing here are not the Bobby and Charlie. They look the same. They're played by the same actors. They have some of the same history. They've gone through very different experiences. And I think after last season where you got kind of the hood got pulled off, and oh my God, it's Charlie, that's great. We don't really get to know her as a character. This season we get to know her as a character. And her story is very different than the Charlie we're used to. Jodie Mills will be back for us. Some of the Wayward cast will be back for us. And then as the season kind of Rowena will be back for us. And as the season progresses, it's kind of like who's available and who can come back and do things. But again, in a shortened season, there's probably less opportunity for cameos than previous seasons.
Can you share when they start to arrive or what episodes they may start to arrive in?
Sure. I mean, we'll see Jodie, for example, in episode 3. And I think we'll start seeing Rowena come a little bit later in our story around episode 7. And everyone else will kind of be sprinkled in as they go forward. And then obviously Mary and Bobby, as a core group, this new kind of group of hunters, they're there for multiple episodes in the beginning of the season.
So whereas this past season there was an episode 90% of it dedicated to Wayward Sisters, are we going to see an episode like that with maybe the alternate universe hunters, maybe another one for the Wayward Sisters, or episodes dedicated to that?
I don't think we'd have anything that takes the focus of our guys quite that much. I mean, that was done for a very specific reason. But at the same time, we really feel we have a really great cast right now. So putting the weight on people, going off and being away from Sam and Dean and telling a story about Cass, or telling a story about Jack, or telling a story about Bobby or Mary or something like that, that's very viable for us, and is a good thing to be able to kind of spread things out in that way. But but telling an entire episode through somebody else's point of view, I think it's something we'd be unlikely to do.
Given that heaven and hell are between jobs in terms of leadership and rather decimated, does that mean we'll be seeing less of them, or?
I think we will, certainly at the beginning of the season, they're very much on the back burner. Find Dean is the operating principle. The demons are kind of doing demony things. I mean, they will be a presence, but not probably the focused presence they've been in previous seasons. Heaven, as we saw at the end of last season, was kind of boarded up shop. They don't have the resources to be involved even if they wanted to be. That doesn't mean they won't be as the season goes on. That doesn't mean we don't have kind of this ticking clock to kind of a ghost apocalypse that we're dealing with. But I think early on, at least, that's not really at the forefront for everybody.
So we've seen previously when one of the core team has been off doing something related to their mission, and one has been off doing. So with the key mission now being getting Dean back, are we going to see Sam and Cass and Jack working together, or are they going to be sort of split off doing their own things?
I think they will be working together, and I think they will also kind of be following up different avenues at different times, but all toward the same goal.
And how involved are the Apocalypse World people going to be involved in that?
The Apocalypse World hunters are involved. I mean, you've got a lot of guys, they come over from Apocalypse World, you know, they came for a reason. Their skill set is quite limited. You know, they're not going to work at like Abercrombie and Fitch, you know what I mean? We've been through Apocalypse, you know, a certain set of skills that kind of very much apply to the hunter lifestyle. And so they will kind of continue that. And we'll meet, you know, Maggie, who's a character we met at the end of last season. We'll meet her a little bit more, and a few other people as well. But no, they're very much, you know, they've kind of been militarized. They've become, you know, the joke is they're flannel PD, and kind of Sam's in charge at the beginning of the season.
Thanks so much, guys.
All right.
Thank you very much.
So there's a lot of focus on Dean at the moment, both in the mission of get Dean back, but also Michael as the main antagonist, if you like. Is that going to shift? Are we going to see other big bads through the season?
There are going to be other villains going on. The Michael thing unwraps a whole can of worms because he had to, over the years, build a whole infrastructure on alternate world to undo it to the degree that it had been undone. Now he's here, and as you saw, I think from the little tease they showed, he's basically right now just trying to get the lay of the land, but ultimately he has to show a strategy, he has to build an army of supporters, he has to figure out what it is he wants, and he has an idea what he wants from this world, and it's not pretty. But yeah, so all that brings about additional players because people start vying for power and vying for domination, and I think that's going to introduce some new players.
How much time has passed between the season finale and where we begin with season 14?
About 3 weeks.
So?
Yeah, that's never happened before. We've never more or less picked up where we left off. Well, I guess we did last week. But yeah, it's about 3 weeks.
Okay.
How much of Michael's goal has he already accomplished in those 3 weeks, or is he still working towards something?
He's still getting the lay of the land. I think he's really feeling his way along because he wants to do it right this time. He has to admit that you know, it was sort of a mess that he left behind up in the other world. So he's going to go about things slightly differently this time, but that plan is rolled out pretty fast. At least the goals are rolled out pretty fast.
Are we going to see a shift in dynamic with the characters, you know, with Jack and Cass and Sam and Dean, and how's that dynamic shift going to play out?
Yeah, you know, Jack is in such a weird predicament. You know, before the relationship was Dean and Sam were sort of mentoring him and channeling his powers because he was this incredibly powerful force that was just like a bull in a china shop. Now he has nothing. He has nothing. It was all taken away from him. And when you consider this is a human who's literally been on the planet for a year and a half or something, whatever it works out to be, and has never experienced life as a normal human being. He has no reference points because he came in and hit the ground running, you know, vanquishing things and smiting and doing all this stuff and figuring out how to channel that. Just being a guy he has no experience with it, and he's a young guy. So what does that mean? What is he going to do? And who do his mentors turn out to be? Sam has his hands full just trying to track down Dean at the moment. That's really his focus, and it kind of falls to Cass, which is kind of sweet because Kelly left Cass sort of in charge of Jack, and Cass steps in and fills that mentor post.
It's probably going to have humor in it with how Cass is with human life. Explaining it to Jack should be pretty funny in some ways.
They're an interesting pair because, you know, Jack is you know, so naive and just so, you know, completely honest, and so is Cass. You know, Cass calls it like he sees it. You know, he's not a political at all, and so the two of them are an interesting combination of people.
Well, no, that was the question I was going to ask.
Oh,
Okay.
Like, were there going to be any comedic elements? So, yeah.
Yes, there is fun to be had.
Are any of the Apocalypse World hunters that we don't already know from previous seasons going to feature more in the upcoming season?
Yeah, well, some of the ones that were just kind of introduced a little bit, like Maggie, they're going to figure it's going to be an interesting thing because the bunker, which was once just this completely isolated thing with just Sam and Dean rattling around, that it is becoming a much more populated world, which is sort of an interesting. I mean, it shifts tonally the whole feeling of being down there. You know, it's really turned into the world's most interesting, odd underground hotel. You know, seemingly everybody's staying down there, and there's going to be a force of hunters because their main goal has been taken away from them. They all wanted to get back to the rift so they could fight Michael, but Michael's here. So now they're here, and what do they do with themselves? How do they fit into this universe? And it's going to become interesting and cast Sam into a new role of kind of marshaling these people and pointing them in the right direction because they don't really know how to pick up where these guys left off. So I think all that's going to be very interesting.
Are we going to get to see Sam sort of like grieving a little bit for the loss of his brother almost?
Oh, yeah. He's devastated, and there is so much on his plate in terms of just trying to keep everything together here, and yet he has this tremendous sense of loss because he doesn't really know if he's going to get his brother back or not. It seems like all the mechanisms they have for extracting Michael from Dean or getting him to leave aren't available to them. So he's got to figure all of that out. And first of all, he's just got to physically find out where he is. So yeah.
But is there a level of hope there since we've already, because Dean had to go search for Sam and they had to be able to be reunited? Does he have that slight hope that, we can accomplish this
Sam?
all again? Yes.
Yeah, I think we've seen that play out over and over in the show, that against insurmountable odds, even if one of the brothers is at the end of his rope, the other one pulls him back up, He doesn't have that luxury now because he doesn't have Dean, but he does have Jack, and he does have Cass, and Mary's there, and Bobby's there. So the force of that team, that family, and now it literally becomes more of a family than it ever was. I think all of that has to build that hope, and they are determined to pull it off.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Have a great season.
Thank you so much.
How are you all?
Good, how are you?
I don't have any stunts for you this time when I try to pitch, having the season 13 play on Friday the 13th. But I wanted to know, how was the process of finding Christian Keys to play Michael?
Oh, Christian came in and read. He was one of those casting choices where you just kind of went, yeah, that guy. The part wasn't written for any specific ethnic or racial group. The best actor got the job, and Christian just knocked it out of the park.
So we've been asking about sort of the dynamics between all of the characters coming up in the next season, with Hunting for Dean and Sam and Cass and Jack all working together without him there. Can you tell us anything about any potential new dynamics that might be coming into play, or
New
dynamics between characters?
Well, Sam has kind of inherited, we have all these refugees from the alternate universe, and it's not like they can, go out and, get a job at an ad agency right away. And they're experienced fighters. So Sam is sort of leading a band of hunters. He takes this responsibility kind of seriously. It's kind of a new role for him since Dean has sort of always been the alpha male between the two of them, and it kind of wears on Sam a little bit. He feels an enormous responsibility for these people. He's trying to train them. So that combined with him looking for Dean, he's pretty much at his wit's end in a way, and he's trying to balance a lot because obviously first and foremost, trying to get his brother back, and if and when he gets him back, what's that going to look like?
With Dean out of the picture, if you like, is the first arc of the season going to be more serialised? Is it harder to do the Monster of the Week episodes with the boys split up?
Well, we generally, in the first couple of episodes, kind of kick off our myth, and then ease into more of the standalones. standalones for Sam without Dean are going to be a little more difficult to do, but we have a Jack story we have to deal with, his relationship with Kaz. And one thing I think we do pretty successfully is marry the standalones with an overlay of what's going on in the myth, and that'll be the same. You know, if and when Dean comes back as Dean, that's going to cause all other problems. So, you know, I think what we've done is successfully managed to combine, both. And as I said at the panel today, I think one reason we've stayed on as long as we have is we roll out these stories a little more slowly. We're not always rushing to, big plot point. And that's because we've got a great cast, and we're interested in their personal stories, and we can tell emotional stories that don't necessarily push the plot along, but are illuminating about the characters.
And that'll still be able to do with the shortened season?
I'm sorry?
Will you still be able to do that? Because even
Oh
though
yeah,
the
I
season
mean
is
we're
shorter-
3 episodes less, which is a godsend, I tell you. But that's a full season. That's and we'll probably have the same amount of myth episodes that we had in our 23 episode season, and a little less in the standalone, so we can get that story all the way out. But I think everyone's actually looking forward to a little shorter season, because we don't, for Andrew and myself, we don't get a break. By the time we're through dubbing the last show of one season, the writers are in the room for the next. It's a grind, especially when you're not young like me.
Speaking of standalones, Supernatural has the best standalone episodes. You've got Baby, you've got Scooby Natural. Is there anything special coming for this season? You might be able to tease a little bit.
We have the 300th coming up, and that's going to be a little different without getting into specifics. That'll be. It's not like the 200th, which is really special with the musical, but that was hard to do. But this is going to be a little bit more of a love letter. It'll be different than your normal episode. So far as anything like Scooby, or we haven't. We're just really sort of getting started. And all those episodes, by the way, like French Mistake and all that, they got pitched in the middle of the season. A writer was going to come in and say, "How about this?" And we just go, "Wow!" Changing channels was just a writer pitch that we kind of played around with. So. We're always open to those kind of shows, so hopefully someone will come up with one.
The Scooby one was amazing.
Which one?
The Scooby one.
Yeah, it was great fun to do. Great fun. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Keep us all on our toes.
So Sam has to step up, be a bit of a leader. That's why he's no time to shave.
Yeah.
We saw that one of the scenes I really loved back with the Men of Letters was when Sam, steps up and was the one who led the charge. So we're developing that part of it. So what's that like to, really play that side of Sam?
I enjoy it. It's not something I'd say I desire. And I guess the only difference this year is obviously he's in charge because of a really shitty situation, Whereas last year or 2 years ago, whatever it was, I guess it was last year, he had to go like, okay, we got this, guys. Boot and rally. But now he finds himself, he is so distracted, he's in time shape. And he's also missing his brother, right? And he has all these Apocalypse World hunters in the Men of Letters bunker, and so he's trying to tell them how to use a computer and flush the toilet and where the nearest, Diet Coke is, or this and that, and still having to try and find his brother. So I think Sam is a great leader, but I think he is I don't want to say he's a slow leader. I think he's a better general than he is frontline guy. Like I think he's the one who sits back and thinks and goes like,
Strategist.
Okay, yeah, trying to figure out the smartest way to do something as opposed to like, this is Sparta kind of, follow behind me as I punch everybody, toga. which isn't bad. I love me a toga. Yeah, I think we're.
Okay, that's the line.
I
He's
love
really
me a
pushing
toga.
for that 300.
Hey, I really am. Like, I've never written or offered an idea, but I've been like, hey, 300, the 300. Sam and Dean in togas. The story tells itself.
So you're ready for all that baby oil action.
Hey, I'm wearing some right now.
That's what happens.
It's part of my daily routine anyway, so I'll be quite all right. Yeah.
Is there something you get to do in this season that you've been waiting to do for like?
It's a great question.
for changes?
I'm sure 300 is going to be something, and they weren't lying up there. I don't think they do know for sure what they're going to do for 300, but I'm sure episode 13, which will be 300, will be something wacky. It better be. If it's just some like, hey, there's a Wi-Fi monster in Arkansas, I'm like, nope, I ain't doing it. Hire somebody else. So, but the writers never cease to impress me and make me laugh. So, I'm sure it'll be something cool. Yeah.
How do you feel like Sam and Jack's relationship is going to change now with this new him not having powers
Yeah.
and Dean being gone and Cass being around more? How is that all going to change?
I think it's going to, if anything, intensify the sort of empathy and compassion Sam feels for Jack. He already shared the feeling of being an outsider, being a little different, being a little less than. But now that Jack has lost his undeniable powers and strength, there was probably a bit of fear last year. Sam legitimately cared about him, but there was probably a little bit of fear just because Jack wasn't. We didn't know what he was going to be, a powder keg or what. So this year, Sam doesn't fear him because he can't snap his fingers and send Sam and Dean up against the wall or yell and blow people away. So I think it's just more legitimate compassion and empathy, and I'm here for you, buddy. And what can I do? To be Jack's Dean. You know what I mean? Or Dean is Sam.
Is this a difference for Sam this time? In the past, when he's lost Dean, he's usually been on his own and been driven to desperate lengths. But this time, he has got people, his family around him.
Yeah, it is huge. And also, I think specifically, Sam, having been possessed by Lucifer, feels like, oh God, like I know how intense it is to be possessed by an archangel, and how much power it takes away, and how you really are just a bystander. So I think Sam feels a definite responsibility. He is around his mom. He is around, Apocalypse World Bobby. Thanks, brother. So, but I do feel. I'm not sure how to exactly quantify it. It certainly helps that he's got, even though it's not Mom, it's not Bob, but they're close enough. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They're close enough, and it's I don't know if misery loves company or whatever, but I think he appreciates. Sam works better as a team than as an individual. I think is probably what I'm trying to say. It took me a while to find it.
At the end of the last season, we saw a little bit of a beaten down, defeated character. When we feel this season, are we going to get any address of mental health awareness and issues, because that's something that's so personal for you?
I think, I don't. I hope not. I hope not specifically, because I'm still, I love Sam. I'm here to play Sam, not to play Jared. I'm extremely blessed to have people that are aware of kind of what goes on behind the scenes and whatnot. But I feel like Supernatural kind of always has addressed that without calling it by that name. We've certainly seen these characters beaten down, and that's the way they sort of deal with it. And I think we'll probably see, if and when we get Dean back, which I'm assuming and hoping we get Dean back, Sam trying to help Dean deal with PTSD or deal with whatever kind of issues he has. I don't think it's necessary. I think that's probably getting a little too meta to address it specifically by name. And I signed to play Sam, not to play Jared, but I'll keep on trying to, in my world outside of what happens between action and cut, still trying to be there for those around me and trying to be vocal about whatever I can do.
Given Dean's usually the one who does a lot of the comedy, are we going to see, Sam doing the cowboy hats and...
I'm sure, again, hopefully by 300 we'll see something goofy and funny happen. But between now and then, Jensen's certainly a lot better at that than I am. So I'll leave it to Jensen and to Dean.
Thanks so much, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Hey, so Michael,
Yeah. What do you think?
what was it like after all this time not wearing plaid? That's all I want to know.
Well, you know, yes, the outfit for sure. But Dean has played, you know, he's like we talked about at the panel, the cowboy and the you know, the gangster and all of that kind of stuff. So the change in costume was helpful.
Yeah.
But playing a completely different character. I've never played a different character. I've only played variations of Dean, Demon Dean, or Future Dean, or whatever. So playing a totally different character, it certainly poses some challenges. One of the major ones is playing a totally different character in the same environment that I've been playing another character for 13 years. So, you know, it's like coming home and trying to be somebody different.
I remember you talked about when we had Soulless Sam, and you talked a bit in that season about how weird it was to be playing opposite, not Sam.
Yes.
And I imagine there's a lot of scenes you've got now that are totally,
Yes.
you know,
So it
you're
is-
not, you haven't got the duo.
So that kind of like uncomfortableness is it's a welcome challenge, because it's just, you know, it's making me have to get creative in a different way than I normally am. And so for that, it's exciting, but it's a little bit more nerve-wracking. And I just asked the table over there, I was like, did you guys see the scene this morning? I was like, what'd you think? What'd you think? And I haven't really needed to ask that question in years.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm like, oh man, I'm letting my actor insecurity show. So it's fun in that regard, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I did ask Andrew. I said, is this something that I'm going to be able to like sink my teeth into and get to play for a number of episodes? And he's like, we got to get Dean back. I'm like, I get that. He's like, you know, Dean's pretty crucial to the whole story, and you don't want to keep him gone for so long. And he's like, but don't worry, I figured out a way to have both. So I'll tease that.
So some remnants of Michael will remain in Dean.
What's that?
Some remnants of Michael will remain in Dean.
Possibly. Or what did the effect have on Dean, and how is that changing him? But even more so, there's another way that it's going to happen.
I have a
lots of flashbacks.
Are
Yeah.
you gonna get to direct yourself playing a different character?
No.
Oh no.
No directing for me this year. It's as you probably know, we're doing a shorter season by 3 episodes. So that just, I mean, it's not going to feel any different. It's just going to be a bit more concentrated, which I think is great. But what that did is it kind of didn't leave those extra episodes to be filled. And I was fine with it. It just gave me more time with my 3 children that require a lot of time.
So I have a follower that wanted to ask a question.
Okay.
You've done the directing, you've done acting. God forbid this show should ever end. But if it did, what would you see next for yourself?
Acting or directing?
Acting,
or anything.
direct, yes.
I certainly want to continue performing and acting. I want to work with people I can learn things from. I want to work with people who push me and make me better. You know, I'd also love to keep that director's hat on as well for a little bit. Maybe you know, maybe the CW. Maybe I put in enough good work with the CW that they'll let me direct another one of their shows.
Please quit that. They're looking for a director too, right?
Yeah.
Do it.
So I love what I do, and I love telling stories, and I love playing characters, and I love creating film and television. And I'll keep doing it to some capacity for as long as I can.
Thanks so much, guys.
Love you.
So-
Oh no, you please start.
Okay, so with this past season, with the Rift and the boys going into multiple alternate universes, I'm wondering, are we ever going to follow up on a certain alternate universe that they were stuck in, got out of, and then what the I guess the monster universe with
Bad place.
Yes.
Bad place.
Are we ever going to follow up on that?
So far, we're not. So, but we're not that deep into this season. We're only at. Brad and I just finished writing 7. So, we're right now. I think there's a lot of concentration on what's 300 going to be. So I don't know, but so far that is not a conversation.
Okay.
Has the relationship between Mary and Bobby been explored any further in the upcoming season?
We are sort of deepening that relationship. So, yeah. They like each other, so it's good.
Can you tease if it's going to be more of a co-parental type thing, or maybe romantic?
I think it's more romantic. I would say it's definitely more romantic. I mean, there may be some overlay with parenting skills, but they're pretty much, the boys are out of the nest, they're grown up. This Bobby isn't like the old Bobby. He's not particularly paternal to the boys the way the old Bobby was. So I think that's not his first instinct. So this will be more of a little romance.
With the Apocalypse World characters, given they've got a point of divergence from the original characters, like with Bobby or Charlie, so do you have in your head, do you sit down and think, oh, this is the point they diverge? So both Bobbies, if you like, had a similar life to a point, or do you think of them as an entirely separate character?
I think of them as an entirely separate character to my own self, because they manifest so differently. So far as we've known them, the Apocalypse World, our guiding principle seems to be that Apocalypse World went its way when the Winchesters were born. Right. And so whatever that is, how many years ago that would be, 80-something. They developed it. That world got ugly and toxic and sordid, and those people were, and that's a long time to be living under oppression. So those people are pretty well formed, even some of them are Bobby. So I mean, there are occasional echoes of the Bobby, we know just because the same actor is playing it, but we don't think of it. Second. Good question.
Are there going to be any of we kind of got a little bit of a tease, but any of the Apocalypse World people that are going to feature more heavily in the upcoming season, and what might some of their relationships with the people we've already met then?
Well, Bobby's Apocalypse World. He's going to be fooling around with Mary. And Michael's Apocalypse World. And while I can't tell you what's happening, certainly Michael has an impact on this world. I don't know what's going to happen with Charlie, but I'm sure she will reemerge in some judicious way. I mean, those are the big Apocalypse personalities.
So Andrew shared that a lot of the characters that are coming back are going to be kind of basically not in the same form that they were prior to, right? So Charlie will be different. Can you share how Charlie might be different? Or maybe I misunderstood what he said.
Did he say that on stage? Because I didn't.
No, he said it here, well, at the table.
So what did he say? He said
that they're coming, and maybe please somebody correct me if I'm wrong, that these characters, the reiterations of the characters that will be in season 14 will be slightly different. They won't be the same. Am I?
As this world?
Yes.
As this world. Yes. And
right.
As a continuation of, yes. They are different characters. I mean, they're different people.
Right.
So.
And I guess what mine was, could you share, like, in some ways how they would be different without giving too much away?
Well, I think it'll be situational. I'm really not sure if Andrew has something in mind that he hasn't shared, or if he just made this up this morning, and that happens a lot. I don't. you could just tell. I think from the way Charlie, as the actress acted it, she was a harsher, not as trusting version. She's been living under oppression, so she didn't have the sense of humor that our Charlie had. And I think that will continue on. The template for that is that she's a tough nut to crack. Not someone you want to be as friends with as you did with Charlie, our Charlie.
So a character I think it was you and Brad brought back as Ketch last season. So he's off on a road trip or something at the moment. Are we going to see more?
Yeah, I want to bring Ketch back a lot. I mean, personally, that's my campaign because I think he's a real asset to the show. He's very delightful and a really good actor. And it's great to have on set. So I would like to. We refer to him several times in some of the scripts that we're writing now. He's with the British Red Letters, I think, right now. I'm not sure, but I think he's doing something. I don't know.
Right. Okay.
But yes, to your answer, we'd like to bring Ketch back. I think it's a good call. And I also think we'd like to bring Donatello back from wherever he is. But it's a very full plate of a lot of really good actors, and that's why we can only use them in little pieces, because it's like getting a kitty cat into a box. So you've got all these actors. You can't create stories for all of them. So, but for me, Ketch is a big ticket item. Bring him back.
I was going to say, thank you so much. Thank you. Hello. We told them we didn't want you to come to our table.
Oh,
We thought we were getting Alex again.
Do you want to try to trade up?
So it's the last season of Game of Thrones. What's going to happen?
Well, it's a big deal. Khaleesi is gonna fall in love with Castiel. It's a major crossover season.
Quick, I better tweet that out.
Major spoiler.
When does that start?
They didn't next year. Yeah, they just said 2019.
We're a year away.
Yeah. So it's closer than the last book
They
is.
make us suffer. I can't stand it.
Well, they're supposed to be like 3-hour episodes each one. So.
Really?
Anyway, Castiel in season 4.
Wait, whoa! We were talking about Game of Thrones here. I'm sick of talking about Castiel.
Oh, okay.
All right, go ahead.
Softening you up so you would spoil things.
Oh, okay, that's smart.
Yeah. Good tactic.
Yes, Castiel, season
So
14.
Sam's got facial hair. Dean's got a new outfit. What's Cass got going on?
Cass has
Did
got
they give
nothing,
him something?
nothing new for Cass. The newest thing for Cass is that he is, for the first time, getting to exercise his paternal muscle with Jack. I shouldn't use that term.
That's my term.
Tweeted it out. Sorry.
Hashtag
Paternal muscle.
Is Cass gonna have a dad voice? Are you gonna create a special
Oh
dad
yeah,
voice?
I should talk to him in a particularly cloying, pedantic manner, like a father.
Yes, and have a look.
And have a
Read, like,
look,
baby
a
books.
disapproving,
Exactly.
judgmental look.
A cooking show maybe with
Yes,
Jack.
Cooking Fast and Fresh with Jack.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's gonna be taking Jack under his proverbial wing this season.
And literal.
Well, I don't know for how much of the season, but we certainly start the season that way.
And do we have any idea what that sort of looks like, or can you share what it may look like? In the sense of him like being human and kind
Well,
of like.
I mean, yeah, I can tell you that Jack is going through a lot of the same emotional turmoil that Cass went through when he lost his powers. So Cass has a lot of empathy and understanding of what that experience is like, and he's trying his best to convey and console Jack. So, but Jack's going through the same feeling of worthlessness and shame and self-doubt that Cass went through 7 or 8 years ago. Cass, felt like, well, the only thing I was good for was, having powers, and now those powers are gone, so I'm nothing but a burden. And that's exactly where Jack is finding himself in the beginning of season 14.
So do you feel that Castiel, well, do you know if Castiel is going to have something to really also contribute to the Michael situation? Castiel knows Michael. Is that going to play a factor into how they go after him?
Well, I can tell you that Cass is in episode 1, he's very tenacious and he's kind of pulling out all the stops and doing anything he possibly can to find Michael and rescue Dean. Even if it means forging unsavory alliances. Okay.